Hi, I'm back with another vlog, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the status of the friendship between Michael Alig and James St. James. So basically, back in the 80s, before Michael Alig arrived in New York, James St. James was already a celebutante. When he had arrived, he had met Michael Musto, who he said in an interview became his mentor for the first few years. This relationship has lasted over the years, and Michael Musto recently addressed this in a video uploaded to the World of Wonder Presents in the panel that he did with James St. James and Amanda Lepore, where Musto discussed how close the relationship was between the two of them before James, quote, ditched him for Michael Alig. So St. James has talked at length about how he initially felt resentment towards Michael Alig's explosion of success, and that although he was in disbelief as to what the draw was, he basically decided if you can't beat him, join him. James St. James became one of the most recognizable faces of the Club Kids, obviously after Michael Alig, and was a regular contributor to Michael Alig's Project X magazine. So the perception of the rift between them came after Michael Alig's arrest, when James St. James published his book, Disco Bloodbath. Since his release from prison, Michael Alig has been quite critical of the information that St. James had shared in his book, Disco Bloodbath, basically saying that a lot of the elements had been sensationalized. Now, he's pretty careful not to actually criticize it, and he says that he, for the most part, understands why St. James wrote the things that he did, and it was basically to make a better story. James St. James was asked about his relationship with Michael Alig in an interview with Johnny McGovern for an episode of Look at Her, uploaded by the Hey Queen YouTube channel. And basically, James said that he can't really say anything too bad about Alig because they've been friends for 30 years, and he's like a brother to him. But he did say that hanging out with Michael Alig is more enjoyable the next day because it always gives you a story, but that it also very quickly turns into the Michael Alig show, and that he knows he's never going to get any attention. St. James actually did appear on 3 episodes of The Pew, 38, 39, and 40. If you have not watched these, I highly recommend that you watch these for several reasons. Although it is a bit much because they do a lot of talking over each other, it's interesting to watch the dynamics between specifically St. James and Alig, and how much actual shade that they do throw at each other. Elements of the early relationship between the two of them were documented by Nelson Sullivan, and one of those videos is Messing Around with the Club Kids at the Pyramid Club, uploaded by 5 9th Avenue Project. I will link to this one below if you want to check that one out. So what kind of led me to making this video was the response that I got to the last Shockumentary sequel update that I did, where I talked about wanting James St. James to clarify the statements that he made about the Drano and the syringe, because I feel like that's been pretty well debunked, and that it would be a good time for him to set the record straight, while at the same time acknowledging that that was pretty unlikely that that was going to happen. In the comment section for that video, Alig said that him and James St. James actually did discuss this while they were having a sleepover, I believe it was. So Michael Alig actually responded to that, saying, "James and I do discuss the Drano situation, though I think he would kill me if I spilled the beans on what was actually said." So in response to this, about a day ago, a YouTuber by the name of Cyanide Lollipop, I love that name by the way, responded to Michael Alig and said, quote, "Michael Alig, it's amazing to me that you still speak to James St. James after his Drano story. I mean, it's not as if he needed to make the real events any worse, yet he intentionally made up the scenario just to add horrific details and sensationalism. How could you possibly stand the dude after that?" So Michael Alig actually responded to her, and I thought what he said was very interesting. "A good question. I had some very real soul searching to do. I spoke with James after all of this, and he said Freeze's confession mentioned Drano and a needle. though not together. He said it didn't seem like too much of a stretch to put them together, and though he knew it wasn't possible because the film crew actually tried putting Drano into a needle and clogged it up right away, ironically, he added it into the story because otherwise it was just a plain ordinary crime and not befitting a character like mine. James and I have been friends for over 30 years. I actually understand his reasoning and don't believe he was trying to be malicious. So I think that that's interesting because they obviously, I would see it as have sort of a frenemies kind of thing going on. When I looked into it a little bit more, it seems like Michael Alig is not very upset with James St. James, but more so with what was going on behind the scenes with the Party Monster and the shockumentary. He addresses a little bit of this in the episode of The Pew, number 25, Party Monster Again, where he says a couple of interesting things. One of them is that he took issue with the shockumentary portrayal of the actual crime in terms of the amount of blood that they used. He said that that was used just to sensationalize it. And then when addressing the issues that he had with his portrayal by Macaulay Culkin, he said that Macaulay Culkin told him that when he was portraying Alig in scenes the way that he felt that Alig would have behaved, that he was receiving direction from behind the camera to make it more over the top, to become more extreme. And then he said he didn't know whether that was Randy or Fenton or someone else doing that, but that was what was behind his dissatisfaction with the Party Monster movie. So that was interesting to me because Randy and Fenton are both the founders of World of Wonder. So if you're not familiar with who they are, back during the Club Kid days, they were the New York City pop duo, the Fabulous Pop-Tarts. If you take a look at their IMDb page, both Fenton Bailey and Randy Barbado are credited as being the directors of the film, the writers of the film, with James St. James also being credited, and they are both the producers of the film. So World of Wonder is also the production company that employs James St. James. They also produce his YouTube show, James St. James Transformations. James St. James is also the co-host of the World of Wonder radio show, The Wow Report, that he co-hosts with Fenton Bailey and Tom Campbell, who is the Chief Creative Officer for World of Wonder. The Wow Report airs on Sirius XM. So basically what it seems like is that there is not really an issue on Michael Alig's part towards James St. James specifically. Michael Alig did comment, though, about World of Wonder in one of the episodes of The Pew, saying that they were elitist gays. And I did look again to see if I could find which episode that was, but I can't. But I thought that was interesting because it seems like maybe Michael Alig takes more issue with Fenton Bailey and Randy Barbado, or maybe more specifically the World of Wonder production company, than he takes with James St. James. And James St. James also said in his interview with Johnny McGovern that there was no issue between the two of them. But it is Michael Alig's superfans that tries to create the drama between them. So it doesn't look like there's really any drama between the two of them, although they do throw shade at each other a lot. I would classify their friendship more as frenemies, maybe people who don't necessarily enjoy each other's company, but have been together for so long that it's kind of turned into more of a family thing. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting to take a look at it because if you do take a look at any of those episodes of James St. James on The Pew, the comment section is, yeah, it's pretty intense. Maybe they both do have points. I would still like James St. James to correct the record just because I'm a little bit more of the, I'd rather know what actually happened than sensationalize it and entertain me. And so I'd like James St. James to clarify that, but at the same time, if Michael Alig's not really upset about it, then I don't know why we should be that upset about it, I guess. Other than that, I would just like the facts to be out there. Yeah, I just find it really interesting. Hopefully you guys find it interesting too. That's pretty much all I have for you today. I want to thank you guys for all the likes and all the comments, and you can check out some of my other videos or playlists if you're interested, and if you haven't yet subscribed, you can do so by clicking the kitty, and I will see you guys again for my next upload.